Seeing none, if you'd please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any citizens' comments this evening? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes of November 8th.
I'll make the motion to accept the minutes of November 8th.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote. We now move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With your permission, I'm going to go down and join the leadership team and start our budget presentation. Good evening, everyone, again. So tonight we are here with the leadership team in attendance, so thank you all for being here for the kickoff for the FY19 budget proposal. As Pat Riley said, excellence is the gradual result of always striving to do better. And I can tell you with confidence that the progress that we are making as a district is the direct result of the APS's team's commitment to excellence, including certainly our leadership team meeting members. Regardless of the venue, excellence is always our goal, whether in musical competitions, athletic events, artistically for our students, work that we do with our teachers in terms of professional development, project-based learning activities, beyond the school day learning opportunities, and certainly in our classrooms, excellence is always our goal. As we built the FY19 budget, we kept in mind the school committee and leadership team priority areas. Student safety being paramount, that we want to ensure that as new recommendations come forward from the safety advisory team, we have funding to implement those. Student achievement. Our goal is always to ensure that our students, while they are with us, have the opportunities to excel, as well as to be prepared to embrace any opportunity upon their graduation. Class size. You have set an expectation that class size be below 25, and you will see some references between tonight and tomorrow night that actually ensure that that maintains those levels. In technology, through the use of the CIP, the FF&E from the middle school project, as well as operating budget and school choice funds, we have, as you know, a one-to-one program basically 24/7 during the school year at grades 6 through 12. We now have a one-to-one program during the school day for Swanson Road for grades 3 to 5, and basically the equivalent of about a 1 to 3 with strategic placement of iPad carts at Bryn Mawr and Packagug. Additional priority areas are in textbooks. You've set a priority to be sure that we have current materials, including textbooks for our students and teachers to use, and you'll see in this budget that science is the priority area in FY19. In terms of professional development, we have long had a commitment to be sure that we're providing not only the best opportunities for our students, but also for our staff. In order for them to help elevate the practice in classrooms, they need to be participating in quality professional development and trainings as well. Strategic plan implementation. As you know, the current strategic plan is nearing its end. Thanks to the hard work of those in the room and those in our schools, we've nearly completed all of the goals. So this Saturday, building on the work done by 120 community and school representatives in November of 13, we have about 140 school and community representatives who will join together in the middle school cafeteria. And then educator evaluation. We have been a leader in this, and as you know, we've added learning walks, which are not evaluative of the teachers, but help to calibrate our practice as evaluators. So building on the strategic plan that is currently in place and the work that will take place on Saturday, we look forward to bringing to you, likely later this winter or early spring, a new strategic plan. However, it is our intention to maintain these 5 overarching goals of teaching and learning, community partnerships, technology, transitions, and health, wellness, and safety. This budget also reflects our commitment to our mission, vision, and shared core values. In fact, since 2008, it was those core values that have driven our decision-making, with us regularly asking the question, how will this impact students and their achievement? As we developed this budget, there were numerous assumptions that we made, just to share with you. So we used our October 1st counts. Those are the ones that we report to the state. I will tell you that we've had fluctuations in those numbers already since then, but that's what we used as our basis. We have level funded grant monies from the 240, Title IIA, and the Title I grant. We've used those as offsets in the operating. Medicaid reimbursement at the fall special town meeting, that was increased to $185,000, so we've applied that, plus some monies that we have carry over in previous years. Circuit breaker reimbursement is projected at 60%, and the maintenance of school choice at the current levels as set by you. Additional assumptions, we've left our current IAs and ABAs where they are placed this year. As students move them, we will need to move them next year. We wanted to be sure that all are accounted for. We've budgeted for 11 regular ed school buses and made an assumption that the bus fee would stay in place because we've used $100,000 as an offset there. And in most instances, you'll see this evening that most of our supply lines, unless there were extenuating circumstances, we've pretty much level funded those as we've gone through. And then we've also used, as we've done annually, offsets in Medicaid, revolving, rental accounts, our before and after school programs, and our preschool program as well. So the leadership team members here this evening will present both tonight and tomorrow night. You will see in their presentations here is who will go this evening, and those who will present tomorrow night. You'll see in their presentations not only a commitment to the strategic plan, but also to the ideals of continuous improvement and educational excellence. Because we believe as a district that when we work together, and these depict actual staff members working together, that everyone achieves more, and that certainly is our goal. And before I turn it over, in closing, Brian Tracy had said, aspire greatly. Anything less than a commitment to excellence becomes an acceptance of mediocrity. And that certainly isn't anything that we're willing to accept in the district. So through these budget presentations, you will see those commitments that I have noted, because our goal is to ensure that all of our students can achieve at high levels. So without further ado, unless anyone has any questions, I will turn it over to Dr. Lozay, who will start tonight's presentations.
There it is. Good evening, everyone. Tonight and tomorrow night, you will hear about our many, many accomplishments across the district. You will also hear about our plans going forward for even greater accomplishments and new initiatives. All of this is a result, of course, of teamwork. We are all extremely proud of being part of a high-performing district. But as Dr. Brunel stressed, none of us is satisfied with the status quo, and our commitment to continuous improvement will show throughout our presentations. And I believe that's what really keeps us a great district. As you know, the level of work that you will hear about tonight and tomorrow night is never the result of one individual, but rather of team effort, and that's why we come both nights to support each other as we present to you our proposed FY19 budget. First on the agenda this evening will be the central office budget, which will include the business office, teaching, learning, and curriculum, special education, facilities, and technology. So I will turn it over to Mrs. Wisbicki to give us some overarching context for the evening.
Thank you, Dr. Lizzie, and good evening, everyone. When putting together my presentation, I picked out a few pictures that I feel speak to the Auburn Public School District very well. In looking, you think about business and finance, and you always think about money and the dollar bill, or money. But I looked at the first picture of the money, and it reminded me of the way that we all get together and collaborate in piecing our budgets together with the funding sources that we have available. over the course of tonight and tomorrow, you'll hear from the entire leadership, and we all work collaboratively to try to work out the best situation for our students. The second one that you with the hands, that reminds me of All Hands In, to support the students and each other as a leadership team. And the last picture with the students in the classroom, it reminds me that whatever happens, we're always about the best interests of the students here in Auburn, and that's what our main theme is, that what is best for our students here, and we always try to do our best as a leadership team. So, okay. I don't have a lot. I only have a few slides, so I figured I'd put a few pictures in. Okay. As far as factors influencing the budget, for right now, Chapter 70, the state funding, is an unknown factor. We won't know about that for a while, so we're not sure how that will impact us. But all of our revolving funds and revenues are anticipated in the FY 2018 revenue levels for 2019. Our transportation costs for the town currently will be unknown because our current contract ends June 30th, 2018. However, we'll be going out to bid very soon, and I'm currently in discussions with a few other school districts in the area of how we can maybe go work together collaboratively to try to put together a collaborative transportation bid so we could save some monies for all of our districts and provide, safe transportation as well. So we're in the process of doing that, so that will be something I'm working on. Personnel costs are unknown right now because it's subject to increase with the contracts for the Auburn Education Association, the school nurses, and our ABA staff. They're all expiring June 30th, 2018. However, at present, we do know the increases for secretaries, custodians, and instructional assistants, which were negotiated last year, and we've moved forward on their scales. Other aspects to think about are the obligated teacher retirement payouts, anticipated costs associated with degree changes. So those are two. The other thing we look at doing as a group is collaborative purchasing and memberships. Currently, we're part of the French River Bid Collaborative, which we are able to get our oil from. We bid our oil through them. We also bid athletics, custodial supplies, and classroom and some technology supplies as well. So we're very fortunate to be part of that collaborative. We also, I know the food service department uses the tech bid collaborative, so we're all trying to save money. We're also members of the Southern Worcester County Collaborative and the Assabet Valley Collaborative, which are very helpful for us in some of the services that these collaboratives provide. We get a discounted rate by being a member, so it's very cost effective for us and helpful. Okay. The next thing that we're also continuing to participate in is the net metering solar agreement with the town. We have seen some savings on our electric costs, and we hope to continue to see more. The other thing, we've just started working on proposals for rooftop solar arrays being reviewed for added energy savings as well. So, and we're currently we've opened up the proposals and gone through the responses that we've received, and we're working on the contract negotiations and working through that with a few companies, or looking at one specifically and seeing how that'll pan out. So, moving on, sources of funding offsets, many of which Dr. Burnell already talked about, but we have the circuit breaker, which is a state reimbursement for students with disabilities. We've currently projected this to be at 60% for the fiscal 19 budget. Our federal grants, Title I, Title IIA, and the IDA grants, these revenue projections have been based on the level of what we've received in FY 18. But as far as they're always an unknown, and it really relies on the federal government and what their budget ends up being as to how what we'll end up getting for grants. Medicaid equals the reimbursements providing medical, therapeutic, direct services to eligible enrolled children. And these revenues have been projected at the actual year receipts, which was $185,000 for this year. School choice reimbursements for enrolled students that are non-residents of Auburn. We currently have school choice students at both Auburn High School and Auburn Middle School, and we're projecting in a level funding as we have this year because we're keeping the same amount of student positions there, so that'll be level funded. And that'll be it. And thank you very much. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Lizzie to come back up and have a few words for herself.
So prior to presenting my proposed budget this evening, I would like to share some accomplishments from FY18 and some highlights for FY19. In terms of accomplishments, as you know, we have purchased Wonders, which is our new K-5 ELA program, and this is our second year of implementation, and it seems to me that it's a very rigorous program, but it's really allowing our students to make a lot of connections between reading and writing and synthesizing material that they get from various sources. We were also fortunate enough to purchase World of Wonders, which is the pre-K version of Wonders, so it will align nicely as our students move into kindergarten. We also purchased some ECRI materials, which is Enhanced Core Reading Instruction, and that is aligned specifically to the Wonders program, and it provides our K teachers and our interventionists with some very formalized routines to help to really cement some of the foundational skills. Our middle school teachers in science are presently in their first year of implementation for the iScience program, which I hear is very rigorous, but they are enjoying it, and next year I'm sure they'll feel much more comfortable with it. We have also decided to adopt a new keyboarding program for our students, which is keyboarding without tears, which is always nice not to have those tears for students in grades K-3. And again, we just continue our literacy assessment framework work that we need to do, as well as providing some college and career readiness for our students. In professional development, as Dr. Brunel said, Auburn has been greatly committed to this, and that's because it's really essential to building our teachers' capacity in order to impact our student achievement. So anytime we buy new programs, we need to provide training around that. So you see up here that we've provided training for our Wonders program, our ECRI program. We continue to use the Reading Diagnostic iReady and to refine our use around that, so we've had some additional training on that. At the middle school and at the high school, we're using a program called Language Exclamation to really work with our special education students, so some training has been provided there. We continue at the high school to provide some literacy training to our special education teachers there in terms of assessment and diagnosis and then targeted instruction. We also have done some training with our guidance counselors and school psychologists around dialectical behavior therapy, which is a way of talking to kids about some of their behavioral issues and what they can do instead. We also, as we have presented to the school committee in the past, are mandated to do the SBIRT protocol this year, which really stands for Survey, Brief Interview, Referral to Treatment. This will happen at the Auburn Middle School and at the Auburn High School in grades 8 and 9, and that is scheduled for after the first of the year. And we continue, as Dr. Brunel said, to go on our learning walks. We've had 2 thus far this year, and again, we're finding them to be a great vehicle in order for us to collaborate some of our evaluation processes. Some expected accomplishments going forward. We want to sustain our co-teaching initiative. We want to expand our response to intervention model up to the high school. The Hill has begun working with some of the reading and special education teachers up there. We will continue to implement our new ELA program, and hopefully we'll have a new, this is a highlight for our textbook adoption, a new science program, K-5, and aligning that vertically with the other science programs. In order to continue that work next year, this is the teaching and learning support costs. As you can see, the majority of line items there are level funded. There is a slight increase in assistant superintendent supplies and dues, and then you'll see a slight decrease in the textbooks. We are estimating the cost of the adoption of some new science materials based on conversations with publishers out there. So we're sure that that will enable us to get a new program in science as well. English learner proposed costs include translators, teaching supplies, testing supplies, as well as staff travel. That again, we've kept level funded except testing supplies, and that's a result of testing being mostly online now for our students, so we don't need to purchase the paper versions. In addition, I am making a request to increase the English language department, and this is really not a new position, but a transition from, we presently use English language tutors who are considered paraprofessionals, and we would like to transition some of them next year to English language teachers. Due to the coordinated program review through DESE, they expect that we have licensed ESL teachers working with our EL students. They will be back in the district next year to do another coordinated program review. So this is part of our transition to get us to the mandated expectations. So we propose shifting 2 of those EL tutors to the professional staff status, and they would come under a teacher contract. We also have an increase this year, we've noticed, in our population across the district, as well as students. They have changed the regulations, so students formerly had to be monitored for 2 years once they left the program. They now have to be monitored for 4. So I thank you all for your continued support, and before I turn it over to Mrs. Reedy, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you had any.
Any questions for Dr. Lozay?
I have a couple. The new keyboarding program, Keyboarding Without Tears, who's teaching that? The classroom teachers?
No, we have our integration specialists. We have one at the primary and we have one at the intermediate as well.
So is it a year-long program or?
There's a certain set number of lessons. It doesn't take them the entire year. They're also doing additional activities with our students.
Okay. And my other question is about the team, SBIRT.
Yep, Espert.
Is that volunteers, or do they need credentials and guidance, or how does that
So
work?
the state did give recommendations on whom should be part of that. So it will involve our guidance counselors and our nursing staff, and then we will have backup support by our school psychologists.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
One more question, Dr. Lozay.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Through the chair. So I just had one question to follow up on Gail's regarding the keyboarding
Yeah.
program. So what happens to the 4th and 5th graders?
Hopefully.
Or is there any sort of extension to that we have thinking about for next year?
Right. So the program at this point is K-3. However, we're assuming that once students that have progressed through it for the 4 years will be probably pretty proficient by the time they get to 4 and 5, and what they're going to be doing is actually practicing what they've learned through writing stories, doing their research reports, and all of that. Similarly to how we do some handwriting, we do the direct instruction in that K-3, and then we expect the practice to follow that up in the next grades.
Okay. And then so for the kids now, I'm just thinking about the kids that are kind of in the
Mhm.
gap between having to go
Yep.
to middle school and then
Yep.
everything. Is there any sort of tutorial that we have in place for
There are- I think there are lots of online programs that will give them opportunities to practice the keyboarding skills that they get. 4th and 5th graders spend a little more time on using keyboards than the younger students. They actually have to take their MCAS 2.0 and they need to use one, so we provide lots of opportunities for that. And I think at the middle school presently, they do a lot with that as well. And you can certainly have the principal speak to that a little more tomorrow night when they do their presentation.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Dr. Lozay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to take a few moments to highlight some of our district accomplishments. So here in Auburn, as well as in many other school districts across the state, we continue to see increases in students with significant social emotional needs from preschool through high school. With a bi-monthly consultation with a child psychiatrist, we've been able to provide staff across the district in all schools the opportunity to meet and discuss more in-depth and targeted strategies, supports, and interventions with this child psychiatrist to help meet student needs. Also, our unified sports program at Auburn High School continues to thrive. Last spring was our very successful second year with Unified Track, and the team was awarded the MIAA Sportsmanship Award, which was very, very nice to hear. This fall, in its second year, Unified Basketball has 35 student athletes with and without disabilities participating in the program. And along with our ongoing connection with the Southern Worcester County Collaborative, as was mentioned, we have a newly formed partnership with Assabet Valley Collaborative, and that allows us to share resources and support and address the evolving needs of our students. Some of our expected accomplishments that we look forward to in fiscal year 2019 would be the hiring of an additional BCBA to help support our students with autism and behavioral challenges across the district. In the fall, Auburn will be hosting a Unified Games. We will be inviting other school districts to attend. Students with and without disabilities will partnership and participate together in day-long sports activities. And with the huge success of the Unified Sports team at Auburn High School, we're looking to start this at a smaller scale at Auburn Middle School for next year. I am requesting a new position of an additional BCBA, a Board Certified Behavior Analyst for the district. We have seen quite a rise in students with autism and those students with social emotional needs. This BCBA performs many duties with students and for students, collaborating with teachers, providing crisis intervention. Based on growing student needs and caseloads, I'm asking for that position. It would be at a cost of approximately $75,000. On this slide, you see the breakdown of what we've budgeted at this time to support the needs of our current students with disabilities, both in and out of district. You will see some slight changes. Most of these are offset either through the 240 grant, circuit breaker, or Medicaid. The classroom supplies line has been increased. That is due to the anticipated purchase of new equipment and updating some older equipment for students with more physical challenges. Our collaborative tuitions have increased a bit as we work together with our Assabet Valley and Southern Worcester County Collaborative. You'll see that our tuition in non-public schools has decreased a bit as well. But we feel at this time that this is for our current students, that our budget will meet our needs. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions from Ms. Reedy?
Yes.
The new ABA that you want to hire,
BCBA.
what school would they be housed at, and where would they be servicing?
So we have a current BCBA that works in all 5 schools. So what we would do is we would look at the caseloads and separate it. So it probably would be in probably 2 schools in the district, depending on the level of the students' needs. We have a really growing preschool population with significant needs as well. So we'd have to look at the caseloads and determine where would be the best place for them to be separated.
So whoever you hire needs to have a wide background of ages and...
Yes, yes.
Okay, and I do have one more question.
Sure.
The savings on the non-public school tuition, is some of that money then going into the tuition collaboratives, or is that 2 separate
So those
sets of students?
There's 2 separate sets of students, right? So in the non-public schools, many of those students, the decrease is because we've had some students age out.
Oh.
They've reached age 22, so they're no longer considered a public school student.
So it isn't a case of being able to bring students back to...
We have brought students back. We do that as well, but that particular one at this time is more based on the aging out of students.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you for that presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for your continued support. I'd like to introduce Mr. Joseph Fahey, Director of Facilities.
Thank you, Mrs. Reedy. Good evening.
Mm.
So here are a few of my accomplishments, or our accomplishments, I should say, and it would not happen without, obviously, all of your support, as well as the leadership team here. If you look to the far left, you'll see turf at the Auburn High School. That is a picture that was taken yesterday regarding returfing the baseball field. As you guys probably have noticed if you drove by, whether it would be during the day or up until 8 o'clock at night, these guys are out there working under the lights, getting our new turf available for us. Nice thing about this will be used as a multi sports facility. It'll be used for soccer as well. We're very excited about this project to be completed hopefully next week. Next slide to the right is the MSBA Accelerated Repair Project at Packagug School. We took advantage of this program through the state. Not only did we just replace the roof, which is actually the last roof that we've had in the district that needed to get replaced, we've also did a few other things too with this project. We made the building handicap accessible in the front entrance. We upgraded the HVAC systems. We repainted the soffits, installed new railings. So we certainly got our money's worth through this project through the MSBA. And I got to tell you, this would not have happened without the hard work of our superintendent, our businesswoman, and the OPM for the project was Hill Associates, and this guy was just phenomenal. So we're very fortunate about that. The last picture over there on the right, you'll see some radiant heat at the intermediate school. When we made the transition into at the elementary school over there, one of the big concerns we had was the hallway heat was very dangerous. It was a trip hazard. It was scary, to say the least. So it took us a few years to do, but we came up with a solution to install radiant heat to the ceiling. So it's going to migrate down. So we're excited about that as well, along with replacing the Univent controllers throughout the district at that school. I'm sorry. Picture down the bottom on your left is this past summer we installed a couple pieces of playground equipment throughout the district. And the picture to the right of that is the burner upgrade project through the Green Community Grant at the high school, which will save us natural gas, along with modern replacement parts. Even though the building's only 11 years old, unfortunately Gordon Pilots are out of business, so we're stuck without parts. So we have a great new heating system there. And the picture to the far right looks like that's the globe, so it shows it's time to put the glasses on. Goals for the facilities and operation and maintenance. Provide regular maintenance throughout the buildings and capital improvements through all buildings. Closely scrutinize our costs. Again, we're a green community, so we have to track all this. Perform ongoing maintenance of all school buildings and continue maintaining the staffing levels. And I can tell you the staff that we have is phenomenal. Truly, if we didn't have the staff, I can tell you right now, you'll see in the numbers in the next couple slides will be escalated. So these guys do a phenomenal job for us. Now is the dollars and cents. There's no sense to me reading every one of these things here, but you can see that they're pretty much level funded. And as Dr. Brunel stated, we will be throwing in our offsets into this. And Ms. Witzbicki spoke about the solar array system that we will be installing at our high school and our new middle school, so that should drive our costs down as well. Middle school, again, that electric number, we're fortunate last year through the up the last 2 years is really through the National Grid rebate program, where we certainly didn't pay that, so we're still using that rebate money there. Swanson Road, our numbers are pretty much the same. We're very fortunate. The only thing that can change is obviously the economy. As the gas prices go up, fuel costs go up. So right now, as we stated earlier, we're in that consortium with the French River, and we just recently locked in fuel oil for next year at the oil was $1.73, and I believe it went up to $2.06. So it's still very good. Packagug. Last year we budgeted $20,000 for our natural gas. We actually used these numbers don't lie either, which is nice. So that's why you see a slight increase in this, because we used a little bit more natural gas last year than we budgeted for. So we feel that by keeping this number at $22,500, we should pretty much hit the target. Bryn Mawr, you'll notice too that the The high number there is the water, and I believe we talked about this last year, about perhaps a leak in there somewhere. We have not completed the steam trap project, which I'm hoping that when we do that, that number would actually come down. They're anticipating the start date for that is over Christmas break. So we still kept that number in there just in case it isn't a steam trap, and we gotta investigate that a little bit further. But central office, pretty much the same. Try not to tell the fire department, but we don't pay for the water or the sewage. The flip side of that is they actually they benefit from our electrical. So
That's fair.
it's fair. It's a pretty good trade. District-wide support costs. Again, the only slight increase you'll see here is the vehicle, gas, and maintenance. We obviously, as you know, we purchased the van last year, and I believe it had a very successful year. So we incorporated $5,000 additional money in that for maintenance. And that's it. Any questions?
I actually was just surprised that the telephone bill went up consistently across almost everywhere except central office. Is there a reason we do an upgrade?
That was going to be my question.
Yes. Actually, what we did is I can go back to that, but we have a PRI switch that takes all of our numbers in our district. We have two, believe it or not, and we went through this drill last year. We tried to get our telephone bills down through the PRI switch, where you can take up to 23 numbers. So we consolidated as many as we could, and the reason why the central office one is high is because this is the number. This number here takes the long distance calls through the district. So that's why you'll see one higher than the other.
And it seems like from year to year they've gone up. Is that just use? I mean, one went up.
Well, when we do the PRI switch, you would think that we're eliminating the phone line completely, which is kind of what I've actually said was going to happen, but you still have to incur a cost for that. So that cost, we no longer get that cost from Verizon, but we do have to incorporate that cost from a company called Windstream. So they're kind of like our utilities, where we have like a third provider. Windstream is like our third provider for our phone costs. And I can say with our phone systems that we have in the district, we're very fortunate that every classroom in the district has the 911 capability of calling out direct. So that's a great tool. We actually incorporated that with our fiber project that we did years ago. So that's why you see those costs kind of fluctuate a little bit. I would love to see that number go down even more, but we eliminated, unfortunately last year when we did the exercise, we probably eliminated maybe 8 to 10 numbers, that's it, which was disappointing. We thought it'd be a lot more than what it was.
Through the chair, why the huge increase in electrical at Bryn Mawr? In all the other schools, it looked like it was.
Because those are actual numbers from the previous years. For the previous year, we did an estimate, and what we did last year, the year before that, is we installed heat pumps in each one of the classrooms. Heat pumps do the heat and also the air conditioning as well. So that's going to drive that cost up as well. In the hopes of as that number goes up, our fuel actually should go down. So right now we're like in the in-between seasons. So we're not really using the oil as much as we should, because the classrooms have the heat pumps and they should take over that portion of it. So in the perfect world, the heat pumps being used in between seasons, and we're hoping with the solar arrays that we're getting, right now we're paying about 17 cents a kilowatt. We're hoping with this contract negotiations that we're doing, and with the net metering credits that we have with Rutland through the town, we're hoping that our kilowatt cost is probably going to go down to maybe 8 cents. So if that's the case, 8 cents is a lot cheaper than $2.06 for oil. So that's the reason why that number is there.
Out eventually.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Fahey.
Okay, thank you. Next, I turn it over to Mr. Rubio.
Good evening.
Evening.
Like everyone else, we followed the same template, so I'm going to start with some accomplishments from the previous year. I think it's also important to say that many of these accomplishments have already been mentioned. And that's mostly because technology crosses over into so many different areas that you heard some of our accomplishments mentioned by Dr. Lozay. We're proud of that. We're glad that we can affect so many different areas of the school district. Obviously, we all know that our biggest accomplishment last year was continuing to expand our one-to-one program. Moving the one-to-one program down to Swanson Road was a big step for Auburn, a step not many districts in the state get to achieve. Not many intermediate schools have iPads at a one-to-one level for their students, and Auburn does, and we should all be very proud of that. We were able to accomplish that because we were able to completely refresh the iPad inventory at the high school. So the high school, every student at the high school this year got a new iPad, a new case, new charging equipment. We used all the equipment that was still useful to populate Swanson Road and give additional carts to both Packagug and Bryn Mawr, as well as some iPads to the Packagug preschool. So we have iPads available to our students pre-K through 12, which is a pretty phenomenal accomplishment. Among other things that we accomplished, we saw significant upgrades to our server security and network security, mostly aligned around email and how communications are coming into our district. The most significant impact for security nowadays is email, things coming in through email that users inadvertently click. We put in a new system that now scans all of our email before it ever gets into Auburn. That means that if a piece of malware or a virus was attached to a piece of email, it will be caught in the cloud and not available to a user in district, drastically reducing the potential for a catastrophic event within the district. We also were able to upgrade the entire fleet of access points at the high school, which was important because new iPads had new wireless capabilities and new wireless standards, which our previous access points were not necessarily equipped to handle. So by doing that, we were able to take advantage of the high-speed wireless connectivity available to the new iPads. And another thing that you can see down at the bottom there, we increased a lot of accessible technology for our students in all our schools, and that is in cooperation with the special ed department and Mrs. Reedy. And we've seen that continue to increase over the last few years, where our students are taking advantage of the iPads. They're getting more opportunities to use them in ways that most benefit them in their needs, which is a wonderful, wonderful experience for all involved. Accomplishments this year, we're going to continue to look at this one-to-one program that we have and continue to manage it. It is a monstrous project. There are just shy of 2,000 iPads in this district, and that is a significant number, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of planning, and a lot of coordination to support. We're going to continue to look at our security protocols as well, because we do not want to have any impact to the district. Our goal is to have the network running all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and to do that we have to be sure that it's secure and airtight and that whatever our users are doing is protected. We're going to continue to look at our wireless plan throughout the district. We also were able to upgrade some access points at Bryn Mawr last year. We'll continue to upgrade access points throughout the district as needed, so that we not only have a high degree of coverage, but we have a high degree of capacity, so that we can maintain a strong wireless infrastructure for all of our devices. It's very easy to have coverage across all, you hear that a lot, you know, we have 100% coverage of our wireless network, but can that support classrooms of 30 iPads or 25 iPads? And that's where capacity comes in, so we're looking at a lot of that as well. Our support costs this year, not gonna lie, they're going up. They always do. And it's traditionally those last two lines that we always look at as increasing. And they get a little confusing, so let me explain them to you. Computer maintenance and contracted services, those are support contracts and maintenance contracts that we have on both equipment and core services. So our firewall, the security system for the email that I mentioned, our backup system, all of those things now require annual support contracts for both upgrades and support. It's important that we maintain those, because if our backup system goes down for a day and we have an event on that day, then we have a problem. So maintaining maintenance agreements is important. Those continue to rise every year, unfortunately. The world for technology now is cloud-based. Everything is cloud-based. The days of buying software has gone away. So we no longer get to purchase something and then say, well, we own it for 5 years. Everything now is a subscription. Everything now is a reoccurring cost. So this is what you see in computer software and contracted services, where that number is rising to $224,420. Now, I'll tell you that this line covers all the technology software expenses for the district. So some of this are items that you've already heard about. The keyboarding program in our elementary schools, the iReady assessment program. While they're not necessarily programs that I'm purchasing, they're coming through through the curriculum and learning department. They are reflected in this budget. So as we continue to expand our iPad program, we continue to have more need for these types of services. We see that many of the programs that we already have, programs like Lexia and Read Live that we've used for years, are growing because more kids have access to technology, more kids have access to these programs. So our usage continues to rise. So there's really not a lot of new things in those numbers. It expands as our program expands, and as new initiatives are brought into the district through curriculum, through other areas of the school district as well. I am asking this year for a technology support specialist. That's a new staffing request. We continue to grow, and that's a good thing for Auburn. I've already mentioned we added 650 iPads to the district this year by renewing or refreshing the iPads at the high school and then moving the ones we had down to the intermediate and elementary schools. That was essentially a 650 iPad addition to our inventory. That's a lot more devices to support on a 3-person technology staff, along with the increased usage of the technology with the curriculum. We are brought into that, and that's a good thing. We are happy to do that. The growth of technology in facilities and maintenance, we've seen that continue to rise. The continued growth of things like security cameras and the telephones now run on our network. So our network is very solid, our network is very strong, and because of that we're able to leverage it for a lot of different reasons and do a lot of different uses. But all of that takes time and support, and my staff continues to be stretched to the limit there. The network continues to get more complex by the year. It's amazing the amount of things that are running and the planning and thought that has to take to go into putting those in a place so that they don't impact the speed and the reliability for other users. So it's a complex network. Our network manager does a very good job of maintaining that, but it seems like every year we add more and more to that network. And I think most important is the need for immediate resolution to technical support issues. Because we are one-to-one now, because our students are using their iPads and technology every day for their core educational experiences, we can't have things down anymore. We can't have students without a device for 3 days or a week. Things need to be fixed immediately. Things need to be fixed quick. And for that to happen, we need staff. So we're asking for a new person this year to do routine technology support and maintenance. Hopefully we're able to do that, and hopefully we're able to get to a point where we can continue to support this wonderful technology environment that we've put forth for our kids, and we're all very proud of. And we want to make sure that it's running when they need it and how they need it. Before I read this, is there any questions for me? Yes.
I have one.
Sure.
Is that support person you're looking to hire, is that $35,000 for a full-time position, or? Is
Yeah,
that
I'm looking at a very low level of support, really. My thinking is that this would be someone potentially right out of college, maybe right out of a technical school, that we can train. a lot of what we're doing would be considered first level support, or what we want to accomplish with this, which is why we think that that's probably
Okay.
a manageable.
Seems a little low for.
Yeah,
You think of technology, you think of someone that's had a lot of
Right.
experiences and.
and while we'd love to have someone for that number that has a lot of experiences,
Yeah.
we think we can get somebody out of maybe a Quinn Sig that's looking for a first job and looking for some experience, and we can go from there.
Okay. I mean, because if it was someone you really needed, I suppose you could pay him more if you had to. Right?
Anything else?
Thank you.
I have a
Sure.
question. I hope it doesn't cause a panic attack because I know you're just sitting here telling us how much you're doing, and I applaud you for all of your efforts. But as we've moved the iPads to more of a one-to-one model down into the intermediate school, is there any, this is probably more a long-term plan, sort of plan to model something similar to what the middle schoolers have, where there's a student portal where the kids can, even though they're not taking their iPads home, you're right, everything is on their technology basically, and right now the kids are still working in their planners, and it's kind of hard to know where to go, even just as a parent to help. But I know, this was kind of a new, we're in uncharted waters here for the younger kids to have it. Is there any sort of plan for kind of, I guess, mainstream?
So I think you're looking at like the Google Classroom that some students may be using, or something along those lines, or.
More so that a student could go in and say, okay, for Miss so-and-so's class, I have this homework tonight, X, Y, Z, because a lot of it is on kind of, not disparate technologies, but different things they need to log into. And I know in middle school, because they have their iPads, they can just...
Right. Some of our teachers, I know at the intermediate school, are leveraging Google Classroom to do some of that. So it's being piloted in little bits down there. Again, this is a relatively new thing for those teachers, and they also have a lot that they're trying to leverage the use with Wonders and Think Central, and a lot of online programs now that they have to be using, that I think that's going to come, and that we will be exploring more district-wide solutions for learning management, which is what the technical term for those types of things are, in the near future. Perhaps it'll come out of the strategic planning event that we're going to do Saturday, which would be wonderful. So I think, yes, the answer is you will see that continue to expand at the lower grades as well.
Great.
Any other questions, Ms. Bouvier?
Yeah, I have one question.
Senator.
In the past, we've had problems with when the kids take the park testing in the past, and MCAS this past year, where the network couldn't withhold the testing programs and everything, and things were crashing. Did you find that those issues were resolved with the new upgrades that you did?
Well, I think the Park and MCAS 2.0 was an interesting experience that requires support from both the district and the people with the testing software. I don't think we've ever really had a problem that the wireless infrastructure couldn't handle the devices. The testing software that we have to use, we've had some issues with content coming down corrupted, which isn't always something. It could be us, it could be them. It's a tricky thing, but I think last year was one of our best years for doing the online testing. We're getting better at it every year. Both my department is getting better at troubleshooting it and preparing for it. The administration in those buildings are better prepared for planning for it, and the teachers are better prepared for dealing with the minor issues that might occur in their classroom. So I think last year was the best year we've had. We're looking to make it even better this year. So hopefully, I have full faith that the infrastructure and the devices we have can handle the rigors of online testing. It's more working with the testing company and the software and the apps that have to come down to make sure that it's all in line.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Before I go, I would like to read you this quote. The achievements of an organization are the results of combined effort of each individual. And Vince Lombardi said that. And I think you'll see from both nights, tonight and tomorrow night, that This is an extraordinary group of people that all are working in the same direction, and that's to make the Auburn schools better. So we'd like to thank you for your ongoing efforts to support all of our students and all of us as we continue to work for the Auburn Public Schools.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That should be coming up.
Hi, thank you for having me and having all of us here to present tonight. Yes, this is, I'm good, thank you. Again, I'd like to start off with a list of accomplishments, which is hard to pare down, so I'll give you some of the highlights, because there's a lot of really fantastic things happening in the fine arts over the past year and things to look forward to. In the elementary and intermediate schools, we have a record number of growth in the instrumental music program. We have the largest fifth grade band ever, over 90 students, and the string program as well started as a pilot last year with 35 students, and this year we didn't anticipate the amount of growth that we would have when we had over 75 students sign up as a new string student in 3rd and 4th grade. And we had our instrument rental night, and we're totally overwhelmed with the response. And we had to kept calling our the rental company to say, actually, can you bring some more instruments? Please bring more instruments, because there are so many students interested in joining the string program. We also have art and science integration classes in 4th and 5th grade students, which is a fantastic opportunity to kind of have some interdisciplinary learning, which is always something we look forward to opportunities to do. This is a graph showing our 5th grade band enrollment over the past 4 years, and really is a testament to the great work done by Chrissy Caruso and Rob Leslie at Swanson Road, our entire team of teachers, because while it's usually the high school directors that get a lot of the visibility in terms of having the highest level of musical performance at concerts, it's really the foundation at the elementary schools that really provides these students the opportunity to experience that all the way through to high school. So you can see it's growing significantly over the past few years. The middle school, last year we hosted the first ever Rocket Fest. This was one of the few opportunities we've had students be able to perform for their peers, which is something we haven't had the chance to do. They were judged on their performance, and then in art we aligned professional and student learning goals using a common rubric, which we found to be helpful. At the high school, this is the first full year of the Triumph National Music Honor Society, which was reinstated last year after a lapse of several years. This is their first full active year. This is also the return of, just a couple weeks ago, we had the return of the straight play at AHS, which again, we've had in the past, but there was a lapse, and we restarted that. Nickel Pete did a great job, and all of the students put on a fantastic performance of 12 Angry Jurors, so we're looking forward to doing that again, or doing a different show, obviously, next year. In art, I said this last year, it's true this year, AP Studio Art students receive the highest scores that they have in a long time, and they're actually working in the spring to collaborate between the musical, which is going to be Mary Poppins, and creating an art exhibit, Flying. So if you see something in the high school and around the district, that's where that is inspired, trying to connect art and music and pull those together. Last night, this is our concert week, so band concert's on Thursday, and last night was the fall chorus concert, and as a finale they did Dream On, and this is just to show you the growth not only in the instrumental program, but it's amazing the number of students that we have involved in the choral program as well. Really, it's getting to the point where we don't really fit on stage anymore, so you have to put them everywhere. But it's a really fantastic performance, and really appreciate all the people that allow that to happen, because it's a team effort to put on all of these events. So, numbers. Support costs, as you'll see, are pretty much the same. You'll notice a slight increase in transportation due to mostly marching band going to more competitions, and then also a small increase in awards, which is due to Tri-M dues. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Any questions, Ms. Cullen?
No, just one comment, actually. You guys have somehow made being, in these geeky clubs cool, so that's impressive. So, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here, see if I need my glasses or not. Got those? No?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first one that come in today.
That's it.
You want to tap dance off faces?
Okay.
Lovely shade of black.
That was a long pause there, so I hope everyone's still awake. First of all, good evening, and thanks for having me here. The first thing I would like to talk about, we've talked about teams and everything, and obviously we know in athletics there's all kinds of teams. But the biggest team that I would like to would start on is the community, because without the community we have no teams. And I really can't thank the community for all their support that they do give our teams. But our athletes also give back to the community, and that's what makes that team effort so important. That they're out on fields, sheets of ice, in the gyms, performing. But when they're not at practice or games, and hopefully home studying, they're out in the community raking leaves, shoveling snow for elderly in the winter. They all perform and either compete or work in David Broder's memorial race over Columbus Day weekend. This particular year, the leadership team, which is made up of our captains of our various teams, there's about 45 individuals, are going to be doing a 3-on-3 basketball tournament as well as a volleyball tournament, and raise some money for families that are in need of financial help. So the community service is very, very important to our athletes. And the other thing that's very important about our athletes is they're very humble. They do really appreciate what the community has given them with the turf fields. And Mr. Fay had mentioned earlier about the baseball field, the infield getting turfed, the warning track and things like that. So now that baseball field becomes really an all-purpose field. So we can, play some soccer on there, and also maybe some lacrosse. And that will alleviate some of the wear and tear on the big field, the football/soccer field. So, great job by Mr. Fahey and everybody else for leading that effort.
In the classroom, we have numerous students, pretty much about half that are enrolled in AP classes and also in National Honor Society. Oh, sorry about that. Also, there are some, stringent rules from coaches that make sure that the athletes stay focused in class and, by giving out progress reports and looking at their progress by every week, usually on Fridays. The coaches, get the progress reports and we can see the behavior as well as the academic accomplishments. Some athletic achievements in the fall. This past fall was really no different than most years. Out of the 7 teams that participated in the fall, 6 of the 7 made the tournament, and every team won at least one game or contest. And the one team, unfortunately, that didn't make it missed the tournament by one stroke. So we were almost perfect there. Mrs. Reedy talked about the unified basketball program, how the numbers from last year to this year have tripled. We had 3 different teams performing in unified basketball. So again, that's a great job by Mrs. Reedy, Mrs. DeLuca, who was at the high school, who I worked very closely with. So it's amazing to just watch them perform, and I think they really have the right attitude, how they go about things, because sometimes they get off a bus from an away game and you don't know if they won or lost, just the way they are, I mean, it's great. So it's just a great program that has really, taken off. Our field hockey team, probably for the 5th or 6th year in a row, were Southern Worcester County League champs. Another great job by our girls and our coaching staff. This is the spring of we went back to last spring. Obviously, the baseball team were crowned Division III state champs, which is a tremendous honor, again, for a town this size. But it has a very rich tradition in baseball. And that's also a credit. We talk about, starting at the ground level. The youth programs in the town, Mr. Myers just talked about the members of the bands and the chorus. The youth programs in our town get these individuals ready way before they get to the high school. So again, it's a great job by many, many people. The last year was the inaugural season of the boys and girls lacrosse. Lacrosse is probably the fastest growing sport in the U.S. The numbers are just going off the charts. Everybody wants to play lacrosse. Julia Hanfield recorded her 600th career strikeout, which was an Auburn High record. She also signed a letter of intent to Boston University last week on a softball scholarship. Last spring, 6 of our 9 spring sports also qualified for district play. And then we have several of our student athletes participating throughout New England on various college athletic teams. So again, that's a tremendous accomplishment. And basically, our numbers right up here for FY9 proposed budget is pretty much a level funded budget, except when we just talked about lacrosse, boys JV lacrosse. The numbers are significant where it really does warrant a JV boys lacrosse team. So that would be the only real addition from last year. Also, if anybody has any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Davis? Seeing none. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that actually concludes our budget presentations for this evening. As shared with you previously, the principals will be presenting their budgets tomorrow night. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we will be back here at 6:30 tomorrow.
Thank you.
Tom?
Any questions?
No.
No, not this time.
Just so proud to be on the school committee with all these accomplishments of our students and staff, and wow, it's just awesome.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you so much for the presentations.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, it is a vote. Good night, everyone.